Okay. We start with, our class this morning with Umul Kitab Al-Fatihah. Semua sihat?
Sihat, madam.
Okay, awal-awal pagi So, okay, dah record siapa yang tolong recordkan tu? Okay, so nampak slide yang saya ada share? PDF?
Nampak, madam.
Okay, nampak Alright, so tujuan saya buat meeting pagi ni adalah untuk menerangkan sedikit tentang mini project. Mini project kita CPE501 Chemical Process Control. Untuk mini project ni, markah yang akan accumulated for mini project to combine with your total marks is 25%. So 25% lah. Kalau sebelum ni kita ada lab report tapi kita dah convert kepada mini project. So mini project consists of 3 and maximum 4 of students. Okay. Saya terangkan sini. Okay. Alright. So untuk mini project ni kita akan cover untuk complex problem solving. So the aims adalah untuk expose you to the complex problem solving. So complex problem solving, we are addressing certain COs and POs and also WKs and WPs. So this is the COs, CO3 yang kita address for this project, which is to design control system for a given process. So you need to basically design a control system for a certain unit operation. Okay. And then PO5 is the PO's address for these CPS, which is to design solution for complex chemical, oil and gas engineering problems and design system components or processes that meet specified needs with appropriate consideration on health, safety, society and environment. So PO5 kita address untuk projek ni. And then WPs yang terlibat untuk this complex engineering problem adalah WP1. Basically we want to evaluate your knowledge, in-depth engineering knowledge at the level of 1 or more of WK3, WK4, WK5, WK6 and WK8, which allow a fundamental base, first principle analytical approach. And then second WPs is WP2, conflicting requirement. Will test your knowledge on wide-ranging or conflicting technical, engineering and other issues whereby you need to evaluate or to decide certain decision in order to design your process control. And then WP3 is the analysis. After conducted several tests, you need to analyze your effectiveness of process control, which is no obvious solution and require abstract thinking, originality in analysis to formulate suitable steel design structure. So these are the WPs that evaluated for complex engineering problem. And then WK5 is the engineering design. Kalau kita refer pada CO3, kita akan design the process kan. So the WK5 adalah WK yang sesuai untuk kita evaluate your design skills, which is knowledge that support engineering design in practice area. So these are the COs, POs, WPs and also WK involved in complex engineering problem in mini project for this subject CPE501. Alright. Okay, so these are the learning outcome. Apply the fundamental knowledge, concept taught in the classroom to directly relate to engineering problem. Second one, participate actively to engineering topic in designing a chemical plant. So everybody must contribute something to this task. Sebab nanti bukan, this is not only evaluated for group work, but this will be evaluated individually. And then participate actively to engineering topic in signing, and then analyze the identified problem and evaluate the solution. You will be given certain unit operation, and then you will design a process control, for example, for certain variable, for example, pressure control for distillation column, and then temperature control for your distillation column, so on and so forth. Okay, so a typical process flow diagram will be given, which is for the production of formaldehyde solution 50%, and it is shown in figure 1. So this is based on this PFD. Each of the group will be asked to design a process control. Nanti saya akan terangkan. Bukan you will not be needed to design all unit operation, but you will be assigned to design certain based on the variables, pressure dekat distillation column, composition dekat reactor, for example. Okay. And alright, so this is basically the description of the process of the formaldehyde production. Okay, the function of the vaporizer is to process of formaldehyde production begin with methanol and air mixture heated by steam in a vaporizer and then feed into the reactor. So this is the vaporizer. So basically to heating up the methanol, steam and air before entering the reactor. And then in the reactor, the mixture is converted into formaldehyde in the presence of silver catalyst. Following the reactor is a waste heat boiler which contain boiling water feed to remove heat evolved from the reaction. So flowing out, there is a apa tadi? Ada waste heat boiler. The function is to remove the heat, and the heat exchanger cools the formaldehyde product to 100 degrees C, preventing the formaldehyde from decomposing into carbon monoxide and hydrogen. And the product stream contains inert gases, water, methanol, and formaldehyde vapor. And then after the heat being reduced, the formaldehyde will be sent to the absorber. Okay, at the absorber, the formaldehyde concentration is adjusted by regulating the water flow rate into the absorber. The absorber function to absorb any formaldehyde vapor from the reactor product stream and removing any inert or unreacted gases. So absorber basically to purify the formaldehyde produced. And then inert gases and trace amount of formaldehyde and methanol are purged in the off-gas stream. So all the gas waste will be purged to the off-gas stream, and the bottom product from the absorber, which contain the formaldehyde, purified formaldehyde, and residual methanol, which is then sent to distillation column. So distillation column, the function is to further purify the formaldehyde at certain purity. Okay. Boleh cakap, the distillation column remove the remaining of the methanol that was not combusted in the reactor, as well as reducing the concentration of methanol in the formaldehyde. The top product contain almost 100% methanol, while the bottom product contain formaldehyde solution 50% wet percent. So they remove all the excessing methanol, and then the purified product, which is the formaldehyde at 50% wet percent, will be flowing out from the bottom of the distillation column. So this is basically the PFD, process flow diagram of the formaldehyde production. Alright. So you will be given an input and output data with according to your group. So this is the group yang saya dapat from previous class. Okay, so some of the group, if you notice here, consists of more than 3%. Empat orang. So I guess this is some of the tasks you need to some of the tasks you need to highlight it on certain student. So kalau perasan kat sini, ada individual task which is the PNID, seorang akan buat, and the system identification seorang akan buat, controller design and tuning akan buat student lain, ada individual task for the certain student. So bagi group yang kalau kat sini nampak ada 4 orang ni, so untuk the third task ni you can divide it into 2 tasks. Okay, so apa task untuk setiap satu ni kat sini saya akan terangkan. So based on the input and output data provided, you need to analyze on the variable selected based on the given time series data. So the data that will be given to you is in the time series data. So boleh nampak ke ni? Excel sheet yang saya ni?
Nampak madam?
Excel sheet nampak
Oh tak.
Excel sheet tak nampak. Okay, nanti saya share yang lain Excel sheet. So the data it is dynamic data which is in time series data. And then please refer to your group Excel file as shown in figure 1. You are required to identify the following. Okay, the first student need to do this task to identify control objective for the given process. So basically you need to kena bagi tahu individual task, siapa yang buat first task, siapa buat second task, siapa yang buat third task, siapa yang buat fourth task. Okay, the first task is you need to identify control objective of the given process. So for example, if you been given temperature in the variable is temperature in heater, so you need to identify what is the control objective. So kalau temperature, obviously we want to control the temperature of the heater. Okay, and then identify control variable. So apa control variable and apa manipulated variable? So the control variable automatically is the temperature, and the manipulated variable could be the temperature of the input stream. Alright, and then identify one disturbance variable. Manipulated variable for the heater is manipulated variable for the heater is whether steam or any heating coil. So disturbance is the input of the temperature of the input stream. So basically kalau nak identify all the variable, you need to state what variable that you are going to control. So kadang-kadang sebab ada orang cakap kadang stream 3 nak control stream 3, you need to be precise what type of variable. Rasanya semua dah faham kan masa saya terangkan untuk masa tutorial 1 and tutorial 2. I've explained in details. You need to, if you're being asked what is the control variable, what is the manipulated variable, you need to spell out what is the variable. Variable can be temperature, pressure, composition, what else? Level, that is the variable. And justify how this variable affecting the control variable, and then identify all those variables. You need to draw correct process and instrumentation diagram PID for the control system given. Untuk contoh untuk temperature controller di heater tu, awak kena tulis lah, awak kena tunjuk lukis PNID for that particular unit operation which is the heater. And then the second task is to identify the transfer function of the process based on the data given. So macam mana nak identify transfer function untuk that particular project. So this week akan ada satu kamu akan try kamu boleh buat teruslah this week untuk transfer function. So transfer function can be first order system or can be second order system. So you need to identify which order of system that suit your process. Boleh nampak tak yang ni? This is the the notes for this week lab. So macam mana nak buat transfer function tu? Transfer function ni awak tak belajar lagi, but you will be explain further to you. I'm not sure week 7 or week 8 nanti akan ditunjuk. Tapi minggu ni dah boleh buatlah sebab data dah ada kan. Using this data you can boleh solve untuk second task ni. So this is the first order system, first order plus dead time system. So untuk lab minggu ni data yang digunakan adalah data yang diberi pada awak nanti. Okay. Terus buat mini project lah, maksudnya start from this week kamu kena terus buat mini project sampai submission on week 14 if I'm not mistaken. Alright, so kat sini boleh macam mana nak akan tunjuk in detail. This video will be explain in detail how do you run the transfer function. So this is the transfer function in Simulink. Lepas transfer function ada input, ada output. Input and output can be obtained from sources and sink. This will be explained in detail for you step by step. Okay, so this is how the response of your first order system, and then you need to evaluate the effect of the first order system. Okay, so this is how you solve the second task. So identify the transfer function of the process on the data given, conduct the system identification from the provided time series data. This one I think the recorded video is not given yet. Maybe next week or the other week. Okay. Macam mana nak guna provided time series data untuk plot system identification toolbox. Okay. So sorry, for this week you just try to without using this lab data. Not yet, you are not yet using this data. You just need to to try the first order system according to this video. Tak perlu guna data lagi. Data nanti waktu lepas kamu belajar system identification toolbox. Okay, and then determine the reliable transfer function. So daripada system identification toolbox, how do you determine the transfer function? How reliable the transfer function is based on the fit and accuracy and the simplicity of the model. And then the third task is develop simulation model of feedback based on this transfer function that you obtain on task second task. You will develop a simulation model of feedback control system for the given process. So third task ni kamu akan start to design the control system with the PI or PID or PI or P controller only. Okay. Compare the following profiles of the simulated tuning mode, develop and justify the performance of each simulated tuning mode based on the literature. So lepas dah identify the controller, you need to to justify the performance of each of the response output of your controller design. Okay, so this is all the 3 tasks that you need to do. Submission will be due on week 14. Okay, start week 5. Dah start distribute. And then this mini project is group project with 3 members. It carries 25% of the total assessment marks. Ni 25, sorry. Since this is group work, each member should equally contribute to produce the report. Unequal participation or sleeping partner if reported by your group member will be penalized. So kalau ada yang tak buat kerja, hopefully group member yang lain boleh inform saya. Sebelum inform saya, pujuklah dulu group members tu untuk buat Okay, and based on assignment data, make a comprehensive report on feedback control system. So dalam mini project ni kita akan design only feedback control system sahaja. Okay, and the report shall thoroughly present introduction, result and discussion of the following topics: PNID, system identification, and controller design and tuning. Okay, then on the title, bukan title lah, bawah title tu you need to identify lah siapa yang buat first task, second task and third task. Okay, All assumptions, statement and selection made must be thoroughly justified and if necessary supported with credible source of reference. So kalau dalam discussion nanti to support your justification or argument, you can provide the reference. Reference yang kamu cite tu kena reference yang kamu refer tu kamu kena need to cite. And then report with only calculation step without any sound justification given will be obtained only minimum marks. Biasanya kalau discussion ni nanti you tend to only reporting your outcome, your result only tanpa discuss. Contoh nanti awak cuma cakap okay, dekat task 3 awak cakap controller yang sesuai untuk your particular process or variables adalah PID. Macam tu stop sampai itu je. Kamu tak discuss in detail kenapa choose PID, kenapa choose PID controller, kenapa tak choose PI controller. So nak support your justification PID, mungkin respond performance after you conducting a performance test, you you observe that there is no overshoot, undershoot or offset of the response system, so that PID given much more accurate control system, ataupun in terms of IAE, internet absolute errors, is smaller than PI or P controller only. So you need to discuss. So macam mana nak discuss, kena cari daripada reference atau journal. Don't only reporting on the calculation step and also result. Tak nak dalam discussion tu, tak nak buat macam tu. You are matured student, so you need to discuss. At least from now you need to try to learn how to do a discussion on certain research project. So this is the platform that you are going to learn on how to do discussion on research project. And there is some restriction on the number of pages. So only 8 pages are allowed. Extra pages will not be examined. Kena betul-betul compress dalam 8 pages. Okay. So the assignment should be submitted only by the group leader in the PDF file to the assessment folder. Nanti saya akan create assessment folder. So only group leader sahaja yang akan submit assignment mini project ni. Okay, and then group number and name of group member should be stated. So ni macam mana nak name your file, group number, group berapa, kelas mana, and then underscore MP is mini project. So late submission will not be entertained and considered as no submission. So tadi kata minggu 14 betul. So kalau minggu 14, so submission kamu due hari lab kamu. So hari ni hari apa? Hari Rabu. So hari Rabu sebelum pukul 6 petang. So that is your due date and time. Okay, of this mini project. Alright. So okay, this is the rubric. So macam mana saya nak nilai kamu punya mini project. So this is the description of the rubric. So it is according to WPs and WK. So depth of knowledge required, WP1. So macam mana awak analyze and identify the control objective, identify control variable. This is all the descriptor that content that should be enclosed in your mini project report. So semua ni kena ada lah. Identify control variable and manipulate variable, identify disturbance, and then draw the PNID, and then compare the following simulation transfer function, simulation result, and provide justification for the selection of the transfer function that used to represent the actual process. And then compare the following profiles of the simulated tuning mode developed. So you need to study effect on each PID to your PID controller. And then to choose the best controller tuning mode. Okay, nak yang mana? PID, PI saja atau P saja. Okay. So this is how we score your mini project. Ada semua ni. You will be given full mark for this particular WPs for each of the tasks. Alright. So ni list of group. Kalau list of group, kalau kamu perasan kat sini, kita hanya ada 9 group. So for group 1, the data you need to refer only this particular data. Okay, untuk group 1, your data composition control 1. So you need to design a chemical controller in apa? Contoh. Untuk group 2, flow rate. Flow controller for equipment apa? Group 3, flow controller untuk unit operation apa? Flow controller apa? Ini pressure controller, temperature controller. So only refer to this particular input and output dynamic time series data. Okay, jangan ambil semua. Ambil satu je. Saya dah assign siap which group will obtain or will design which controller. Okay, so far ada soalan? Ada soalan tak?
So far tak ada, madam.
Tak ada lagi, madam.
Tak ada Alright, so nanti boleh tanya from time to time. Sekejap saya. Alright. Okay, so this is the example of input and output dynamic time series data. So kalau perasan kat sini, so you will be assigned to design temperature controller in heater. So ni time series data. So this is the temperature. Okay. Alright, so based on this data, you need to identify the transfer function. Macam mana nak identify transfer function? Through using system identification toolbar. Minggu ni tak belajar lagi. Minggu ni baru baru belajar transfer function sahaja. Tanpa kita minggu ni study transfer function yang dah already established. Untuk this particular variable, the transfer function is not established yet. So macam mana nak dapat transfer function daripada data ni, nanti kamu akan belajar waktu system identification punya lab. Okay. Dari situ, lepas dah identify transfer function, then you kena study the performance. Then afterwards, you need to design the PID controller using the identified transfer function daripada task tu ni. Okay. So ni je lah, ni contoh data. So nanti saya akan letak data ni dalam mini project folder. Setiap group akan akan ambil data untuk yang mana saya dah assign. Okay. Ada soalan before you proceed with your lab this week?
Tak ada, madam.
Tak ada Alright, so kalau tak ada, itu saja untuk hari ini. Kalau ada soalan on lab report, you can always ask me. But you are encouraged to ask me dalam group so that mana awak dah tanya, kawan awak tak akan tanya lagi. Okay? Boleh macam tu?
Boleh, madam.
Okay. Okay, kalau tak ada apa tu je, kita tutup kelas kita dengan all assignments with Farah. You may proceed with this lab punya task. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih semua.